Hi, everyone. I'm going to get Instagram set up as well for our live today, and hopefully our feed on, oh my gosh, my hand in front of you guys. YouTube will be a little more stable than it was last week. Okay, so let me get us all squared away today. When you're here, when you join, put a little comment, say hi, right? Okay, what do we got here? Instagram and YouTube. It is 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And who's here? I see somebody here. I'm getting all set up. I've got a kid who's a little bit under the weather, so I'm doing double mommy time as we set up. And this morning has been a little different than it usually is. So say hi, post a little comment, throw up a little emoji. It's Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's Tangent Tuesday. Every Tuesday we get together as a Unicorn Wellness community, and we talk about the past week, mostly about the sessions that are currently going on, that session lesson. Hi, you guys. It's also a time for, it always takes a tangent turn, right? Like the questions and the comments that come up, or the energies that are being channeled through, or that I'm really seeing with the particular lunation or the current energy. Hi, you guys, just say hi. So I've got a sick kiddo at home today. We've had quite the evening and I'm feeling a little disconnected, but I'm here as always, right? And I've got a good set of things to go through today. So this is always a place that as a community we connect. We are together live on Instagram and YouTube. If you miss the feed, then you can always watch it later on YouTube, which was really the point of mirroring them on these two platforms. Because we have members of UnicornWellness.Studio all over the world. That's okay. Whatever platform works, you guys. I'm just doing the brief scenario of like, Instagram's been our staple for lives for the last 2 years, really, because it's really user-friendly and really simple. However, our members are literally scattered all over the world. And although we want our numbers to increase, that makes it to where like, a lot of us aren't together at the same time in the same place. Part of having membership in this community is that you do things on your own time. So I mirror it on YouTube so that you guys can go back to it, or you can share it, because there's going to be things you're like, hey, did she say something about that? And on Instagram, it's only 24 hours. So write a comment if you all have questions, anything concerning your current workouts on UnicornWellness.Studio. The current session, so we're in the middle of witches work, literally, like it feels smack dab in the middle. This is week 3, so we have this week and next week left, and I've got things that I want to touch on in regards to that, and again, mostly today, the full moon energy. But that being said, my notes are about half and half. Okay. So thank you for everybody who's here and can join me live at this time. And thank you for anybody who finds us after the fact. This information is really for everyone. And again, I wanted to put them on YouTube so that they're shareable, and that people can find it and find their community and find their home and engage in these conversations. And the lessons are there. They're housed there in perpetuity now, so that members can go back to them at any time, or other people who are interested in the work that we're doing can go back and do the lessons. They would need to have a membership and activate a promo code for 30 days free on the site. I always drop it in the description below on YouTube so that that's available as well to anyone and everyone. The goal is to help as many people as possible, to support your wellness, to support your unfoldment of your highest and most unique self, because that's what a unicorn is, your most unique reflection and adaptation of your soul, right? It's the unraveling for its highest and greatest good. And we do that in a lot of different ways. Hi, Shauna. So again, fingers crossed. Last week we had some trouble with the YouTubes. I love you, YouTube. Why are we having trouble? So here we go, okay? There is construction outside our apartment again. So for those who know the story, like we went to Europe and came back, and last year there was always construction. It has started again. I don't know what's happening, but at least they're working on it, I guess. I just see it as a reflection of us being a work in progress here in this house at all times. And I have a kid who's a little under the weather in the other room. So my mommy brain is like, how loud is it? Who needs me? Where am I at? So I'm trying to get a little grounded for you guys too. Okay. So comment, say hi when you're in the room. Ask your questions, about anything wellness related, your weekly workouts, or the session that's currently going on. Then we're going to see if we have time to do some single card tarot pulls. And I didn't get the deck all the way here to the table. I'll go get it here in a bit. So there. Okay, lesson 3 of witches work. How many of you are doing witches work? What do you think of it? How's it going? I'm doing a lot of different things, right? We have had these sessions for about 4 years. The site we launched 5 years ago. So sessions became a part of things very quickly. The teacher in me loves our sessions, right? It's that extra layer that really delves into a full lifestyle practice and not just movement on the mat or your energetic practice of meditation and tarot, and not just the food. So our wellness is everything, right? And inevitably what ends up happening as a trainer for the last 20 years is you need to know how to really implement things in your life. And once you crack the can of evolution and expansion and better is better and positive change, it just opens the door of everything, right? Like, how can my household and my life be more organized? How can I generate more joy in things? So the sessions are really important to me as a teacher. But I'm always trying to find the best way to deliver things to you so that you get the most out of it. 2, what is efficient for my household and for me as we are working through things as a small business now and in the last 5 years. So the video format is what we're using through Witches Work. And then we'll also use it for Detox Your Brain, which will be in February. So next month. I'm not going to get too much into that just yet. After Detox Your Brain, instead of doing a session every month this year, Mama needs to take a break. There's just too much. It's too much right now. That's just the reality. And this full moon, I'll be real honest, has pushed a release of that. And I want us to focus on, getting on the mat, just pressing play. If you haven't done the reset, really read it, really consider it. It is a life changer and a game changer. Really anchor into the tarot readings monthly, full moon, new moon, monthly overview, and the guided meditation. There is so much yummy content on the site on UnicornWellness.Studio as it is. Sometimes for members, it's overkill to have the lessons as well. It's like too many things. So for me, just as a person and a person of integrity and trying to continue to balance, it's too much right now. I can't keep up with it energetically. And as a household and as a mama and who likes to be really present and hands-on with her family, it's just, I can't do it. Ha ha. I tried. I wanted to do it for you all. We have run them monthly before, but with the new format, I thought it would make it easier and faster, and it doesn't. So we're finishing up Witches Work. We will do Detox Your Brain in February. Then I'm going to take a break. I am committed to getting an Intuitive Tarot 101 full course session out for you this year. And I have a lot of ideas about how to present the sessions slower over the next year for you all. And in reality, just know that the site itself is enough to transform your life, to really change things. It's magical, it's useful, it's practical, and the goods are there. And we still have the private, Facebook group that's such a community. So when it comes to lifestyle pieces that you all can talk there, I'm always there to answer questions. You can always email me. And we're going to keep to our live sessions on Tuesdays here. So it's not like there's a lack of expansion or a way to really get into more of the detailed lifestyle pieces. So that's that. It's one of those like bittersweet things. Like, I'm bummed to say I'm not going to finish out the year because I don't like to not finish things that I have said I'm going to do. But I can't keep up this pace. That's the reality of it. And there's some basic things that need to be focused on. And if I'm not in integrity of life work balance, I got no business teaching you all. So I just go, these sessions are there. They're still there to refer back to. They will never totally go away. We've got Moon Mama up that you can refer back to. We'll have witches work, and we'll have Detox Your Brain. And I will be doing an Intuitive Tarot 101 this year. I just need to go slower with them. That's all. Okay. So hopefully that's not heartbreaking. Most of the messaging that I've gotten from you guys is really supportive and totally understanding. And I cannot, say how much I appreciate that. I do, Charlotte, I do put out a crazy amount of content. Yeah, they are a lot to take in. So this is also the realization. So everybody's got their challenges, right? I'm a super creative person. I can teach nonstop. I do not have an issue with content that I feel like needs to be out in the world. Meanwhile, I need to be honest about like how fast it's coming at you all. And where it really hits the pavement. The entire point of launching UnicornWellness.Studio, or a site, it's had 3 branding names and we've grown and evolved in the last 5 years, was to have simplicity. That you show up, you get to be treated like a client, you are being taken care of, you are really having a personal training experience, and you don't have to think so much. You show up, you log in, you press play, you're getting, macro microcycle workouts in attunement with lunar astrology, current lunar astrology, and the current greater astrology. Those are the heart and soul and the anchor, right? And in theory and in reality, you don't need more than that. Life is expansive. You will and should be curious about other things. And I want to bring those things to you from a unicorn perspective. But it also just becomes like, I don't think it's overkill, but I also know that my unicorn members are recovering perfectionists, that you all are in active pursuit of the unfoldment of your soul. And you want to do everything, and then it becomes too much. And then you feel like you guys are failing because you're not keeping up with the lessons. Meanwhile, that is not the point at all for me or for you. So I just go, the sessions are there. The content is there. I'm going to go slower and really look at the best way to present it for everybody. And we'll get to it when we get to it. Meanwhile, it's not worth me being burnt out or not present for my kiddos. That's the reality. So there, yeah. And you guys totally understand. I'm so appreciative of it. And this full moon has really pushed some things, like where are things being illuminated in your life? And we're going to talk about that and break down how it affects you guys and how to work with that. And I do that myself. And I also really know that, life is ever evolving, and our signs and our symbols and our paths are constantly changing because of fate and free will. We make a decision that changes some fate processes of it, right? So I go down one path because this is where I feel guided to be. And honestly, the sessions monthly, I was hesitant to do. And I should have just honored that. We've done it before. I know how I felt before. And I really thought with the new format, it wouldn't be as intensive. And that's just false. So the sessions honestly are an entire separate business and an entirely separate offering, and need to be done justice to from the membership. And trying to combine them, I think, creates confusion and just energetically not the smartest thing for me. Because you're right. There's a lot of content. Okay, I'm looking at some of these comments before I move on, okay? But I love you guys. It's not for lack of wanting to teach. It's just too much. That's all. Yeah, this is really it. I mean, thank you guys. This is the lesson. And I also am going to fess up. I feel like today is like one of those days where I'm like, I kind of need you all as a community too. And I probably won't go too in depth of it. Yeah, I think for me, I'll tell you, I have a hard time not finishing something I said I was going to do. That's a thing, right? That's a perfectionist tendency, and that we will kill ourselves literally in the process of doing it. When it really goes, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not like I don't show up for you guys, right? And I have to practice changing my mind and feeling like that's okay. It's okay to change my mind. It's okay that we planned it all month and we tried it and made a real commitment to it and then went, it's not working. because I'm not going to hang on to things that aren't working. And I do want to teach you all and people in general, like if you don't like something and it's a bleed on your energy, stop doing it. That doesn't mean you flake out, right? I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not going to finish these sessions or the next month and wean us out of it carefully. Like, and meanwhile, the heart and soul of Unicorn Wellness is pressing play on the site, getting on the mat weekly, working that guided meditation every month, listening to the tarot readings, right? And so I don't want to be responsible for adding more to-dos that stress you all out. So not the point at all. So you guys are being really, really supportive, and I really appreciate it, because it's not a simple thing for me to go, oh, we were going to do this, now we're not. That's a learning curve for me, and stepping into it is like, oh, I got to go be brave. And then deal with like, is that a failure? Was that like criticism? Am I, no, it's just what it is. We tried it. Didn't work right now. The content is beautiful. I'm so in love with the content of the sessions. I need to find the best way to present it to you all in a manner that you all can take on a session as you have room in your life for it. And we wanted all the members to get auto lessons in their email just out of simplicity. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. It's not an avalanche that I'm getting in return, but what I do here is like, then there's this panic that you guys aren't doing it. And I love you so much that your soul wants to do all of it, but it's like, if you don't have time, don't, and it's okay. Okay. So there's that. Us returning from Europe again, our schedule and lifestyle changes significantly when we're in the US. And as a family, we struggle a little bit. We're all very sensitive, and there just needs to be more time and more recovery time and more quiet in our house right now. So that's really that's what I'm teaching you guys. It's great to try things. And I think you all have seen my posts. Go fuck something up. Like, if you're not failing, you're not trying. And I don't see this as a failure. This is a realization and a recognition of what there's time and energy for right now. And sometimes I get so excited and creative that, the beauty of the site is powerful and simple. Just go do that, please. Like if more people would just go do that in their self-evolvement and their self-care, there'd be, it's powerful. So there you go. Okay. So lesson 3, that was like my tangent. It's so much more than that. And I've had one of those days where I'm like, am I going to get on here and cry with you guys? Like, this moon is like big and all the feels. And it's brewing a lot of transition. And so we have to embrace it constructively. It's just, we're too grown and too big and too magical to be overwhelmed and capsized by it. Those of you who are present here and who are unicorns and actively in pursuit of your self-evolvement. And we can all reach those moments of fear and anxiety and unworthiness and like too muchness. And I'm born and bred in the US. I'm from Oklahoma. And I love it here, and we've made a choice to come back and not be traveling for a while. But there's a lot of fail points to our culture. And in the last week, it's been kind of heavy in its reflection to our household. Not in terrible ways, just in like loud ways. And once this goes into this intuitive practice, right, on the site of this session, once you're really hooked into your intuition and you're navigating your life that way and things sound really loud, that's when you know that's where the work is, right? And that's when you know these are where your messages are at. And it's just been really loud in the last week. And so we're all just working the work, right? Get back on the mat, practice self-care. Don't forget about yourself. True change happens as a person, but there is a significant amount of change that needs to happen in the world now. And I want to really focus on the simplest way to assist people in their positive change. Like, that's it. That's my heart's desire. That's my goal. And I think I get a little wily of like all the ways that can be done, which is really fun, but more of a focus, like back to basics for me as a business. Like, get on the mat. Those workouts are magical. It's Reiki healing by proxy plus a general wellness practice and grounding your personal intentions and manifestation wants in the world, right? That's fucking magical right there. So we don't need to add 700 layers to it. There are other things, but we can have all those conversations here. Oh my God, this moon, you guys, I thank you, Lindsay. Like, I really was like, am I going to just bawl? And it's not, I'm totally happy to be vulnerable with you all. But again, it's a small business and it's a hustle, and it's been 5 years, and I want things for the business also. And as a mom, yeah, here we go. As a working mom, there's no balance, right? I mean, there really isn't. So for the mamas in the room or who watch this after, there's never a working mother I've ever had this conversation with that does not feel this way. That when you're focusing big time on your career or your work and very driven and very happy working, that you always feel like a terrible parent because there's no, like, you just can't. And then when you focus on your kids and you're very present with your family, you feel like you're not growing and empowering your own soul's path, right? Like, so then you feel like, I'm not doing anything justice. I don't feel like that. I feel that creeping up right now. And I've been there before, and I don't want to be there again. So we balance anything the best we can, humanity and divinity and personal and career. And, you know, we just have to be brave to do it. And I think that's the big deal. And I, as an empath and a channeler, know that when I'm starting to get those messages so loud, that it's super loud for you guys too. And that's what I have to help guide. You know, so that's what we're doing. Okay. I love you guys. I really do. I have a lot of wants for this world and for you all and for this business and for my kids. And sometimes in the US and our experience, it's just a lot more challenging. And it isn't supported as a culture. And so the goal of Unicorn Wellness, being a unicorn in the world, is to support it in your own little sphere, right? Because if you want to change the world, you got to be the change. So you got to change it in your 6-foot auric bubble, like everywhere you go, you know, like slide some of that love and magic into somebody else's energy field and really expand it. So I'm going to focus more on the basics for you all, but our basics certainly aren't basic, and let the other content figure itself out, right? Yeah, so there's that. Okay, linear process here. Here we go. We're going to try. Okay, this week, lesson 3 of Witch's Work. If you haven't done it, if you have, but you've got questions, like, ask. So this week is all about the tarot, and I really liked this video. I did it live. And that is one of the transitions this month and next month with the sessions that we're going to do. It cuts down a step of editing. That's the reality for this household. So that's constructive. So I will be teaching the lesson live on a Thursday or a Friday. I'll get those times up in the private Facebook group, and I'll probably post it on Instagram as well. If you all would just subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell on YouTube, then you'll get the alerts when it goes up and when it goes live. For those who can't be with me live, totally cool. The more the merrier, but it's okay, because I know this is like my schedule shenanigans. Then you all will still get the link to the video lesson on Sunday in your email. So it doesn't really change anything of the session structure, except that if you want to show up and be with me live in that first moments of those sessions, you get to. Let's see. Oh, you guys, I can't even tell you, like, I have felt really good in this moon. So I have Leo, I'm Leo rising. So Leo is like exuberant and lovey for me, but Leo rising is my identity, myself. Who am I? How do I deal with myself? And I don't want to skip to the full moon stuff just yet. We're going to get there. I want to do these basics real fast, but it's an ass kicker, like, no joke. So it's big and it's awesome. And again, like, harnessing it is the most powerful, constructive thing to do. Meanwhile, we don't deal in fortune telling in the spiritual work. We deal in, like, the path and choice and going with the flow and surfing the waves of the energies that are coming our way. So there's no way to know how much of an ass kicker this was going to be or in what ways. And again, I look back and I go, it's kind of soft in this house. Meanwhile, I've lived through extreme traumas in my life. So soft to me is like not soft to other people. So lesson 3 we did live. It's on YouTube now. You guys got your lesson in the email from members on Sunday. This is all about intuitive tarot. And I was really clear that like you cannot learn tarot in 1 week, in 1 hour, in one lesson. But we can give you like the best momentum and this great overview of permission to go deep and get real from a spiritual aspect real fast. So the biggest feedback that I've heard already from this lesson is that those of you who have embarked on a tarot reading practice, mostly from coming to Unicorn Wellness and feeling like, oh, it's safe. Oh, let me work with that. Are feeling such a swift upswing in its understanding by not working with the booklet that comes with it, like tried and true, and by going with your intuitive reading of things. So this week's lesson is that you pull a card, and again, I didn't somehow get my deck here, and we'll get it here in a minute. And instead of looking at the book, instead of looking it up, you're just going to sit with the card and journal everything you see and everything you notice in it. That's it. That could take a lot. And being that you guys are unicorns, I already know you're highly sensitive. You're highly aware. You're highly, yeah. Oh, hi, Cisco. Yeah, it's been a little rough. And it honestly kind of hit my kiddo last night. And I was like, motherfucker, like, okay, here we go. And we're going to go through details of that in a minute. So just this basic lesson has been a big shift for you all. And I'm hearing that in like beautiful ways. I struggle. Like I was told when I was 18 that I was a reader. This was my gift. This was my purpose, right? It is my happiest space. But it took a lot of off on from like 18 to 32 of picking up and putting down, picking up and putting down. I didn't get it. And I did read books and I did search, when resources online were available, and it just didn't gel. It always felt like I was working against the current. And then I felt like I was wrong in my messaging because it didn't match the booklet or the book that I was working with. And I really don't remember how it came about. I felt like I just gave myself permission to fuck it up and to make a mess and go, whatever, I don't need to fit into a box. And when I let it be the intuitive read, this is part of when my channeling capacities came through, and I still was really unclear about how that worked, right? I just let it come through. And I worked with clients and friends, behind the scenes for a really long time. And it took me about 2 years of behind the scenes to really feel like it had consistency. There was accuracy out of it. And like, I just needed to trust my process with it. Do I look at books and look things up online at times? Absolutely. Absolutely. Reading for yourself is one of the hardest things to do because your analytical brain kicks in and like overtakes it. But when you allow the flow of your intuition to just come out based on the images that are reflected to you, it's powerful and shifting. So this is this week's assignment. You can do a 1, a 3, or a 5 card reading. If you are brand new to the tarot, just do the 1 card. Like, just stick with, like, don't be the overachiever. I put the options in there because, as everything else, right? I teach a multi-level movement class on the site at all times. These sessions are also multi-level, right? So there's an option for everybody if we're honest about where we're at right now, or try the 3 and 5 and screw it up and go, that didn't make any sense at all. And in fact, I'm more confused, because that's what can happen with multiple card readings when you're not really practiced and super consistent with your readings yet, but it'll come in time. So with your intuitive reading homework this week, really don't skip your meditations, because that's the hookup. Like, that's the main line that fleshes things out, that allows things through. And so just like a workout, right, is not where change happens. So in movement patterns, we think that if we work out, we burnt a calorie and we built, muscle. Workouts are preparation for change, okay? Change happens in the rest stages. It happens when you take it that our constructive rest week. It allows things to integrate and fuse and grow and evolve. So meditation is the same thing. Rarely are you getting messaging in meditation. If you do, bless you. God bless you. Like, oh my God, then don't ever not meditate. But it's the preparation to allow messages to come through. So Phil Good, if you guys don't follow him already, is a spiritual teacher and a channel. He talks about catching the butterflies, and so this week has been really loud with butterflies. Lots of thoughts, lots of downloads, lots of it brewing and bringing and dredging, right? So it's like pulling stuff up. And then if you can catch the butterflies of recognition, those are your signs, your symbols, your omens, your messages, your movement forward. I feel like I've caught a lot this week. And then I know there's like 2 handfuls that I was like, I just watched those fly off because I had no pen and no paper and was sitting in a steam room. And like, please, when the time is right, allow those messages to find their way back to me. So that's like the intuitive tarot is a beginning for you all. It's a this is one assignment, 1 hour. So please don't expect to like know everything and be super comfortable, but I'm already hearing that you're more comfortable in your reading because of this approach. Okay. I wanted to bring up something else. So in the private Facebook group, I posted a video by James Panther, who's an astrologer. And I always say to you guys, I'm not really an astrologer. I'm like a couch astrologer. I'm certainly not a master of it. What I know now is that I'm really more of a channeler of the energy, totally aware, totally in casting, charts, even your simple stars readings that you guys book with me. Yes, I read the chart, but a lot of that's channeled information also coming to you. So it's a little different. Like I don't go into every aspect and every piece of the puzzle. So I like to post astrologers that I love if you're interested in like more of the geometry and the science and, because it is science. It's like this angle, it's a 30 degree versus 130 degree versus a square. Okay. I posted his video in the private Facebook group. So if you haven't been in there, you want to watch it, go watch it on this full moon. So I'm making a transition to full moon stuff. He talks a lot about, the inner child and how that can get kind of demeaned and diminished and a little cheesy and a little meh. But when I was teaching lesson 3 live, okay, and in the intuitive tarot session, I talk about how one of the beautiful things about tarot that I learned recently was that as a human brain, this is scientifically proven, looking at images releases oxytocin in us. And I was like, this is fascinating because we look back to like cave people, like how do we function? How do we live? How did we live before we had all of these analytics and all of these, the experts and information at our fingertips? We were still drawing images and telling stories and passing stories and trying to connect with each other in any way that we possibly could or can. So looking at images, pictures, releases oxytocin in the brain. Oxytocin is the feel-good hormone. This is like the warm, fuzzy hormone. It's not an endorphin, okay? It's cozy. This is the mama and baby hormone. So immediately I went to, okay, because this is like all you hear about when you breastfeed or before you breastfeed, or if you're like studying, like that's in our books before it happens, right? That it releases oxytocin for both the mother and child. So I'm adopted. Okay. And nature versus nurture is a huge thing for me and understanding and part of my path of teaching. If you weren't breastfed, and then look at our culture, right? We have a culture of bottle fed babies. I was one. Okay. And did my kids, were they partially bottle fed? Yes, they were. And there's reasons, and we're not going to go into judgment. If you bottle feed, it's all okay. Okay. But when you breastfeed, you get oxytocin, right? It's that oxytocin generator. You also establish a good gut microbe biodome. So I look at my gut issues and I go, well, I didn't have a baseline of gut microbes. There was no good bacteria to begin with. There was no planting of that. But this full moon is Leo. Leo is the inner child. It is your heart, okay? They're the biggest heart of the zodiac. If you know a Leo, like you can feel their fierce love, okay? You can also feel when you cross the line and they're about ready to eat your head off because there was a boundary. They're fiercely protective also. But the point I'm making is that tarot cards produce oxytocin. Okay, so this makes them very useful in creating joy and being able to problem solve, integrate, self-evaluate, and change for the better because you're in a feel-good state of mind. Okay. When you go to therapy, and I'm bringing this up, not because I don't think therapy is worthwhile, I've spent quite a bit of time there also, but I think everything has its place and that we need to be looking at some more heart-centered solutions for things in order to make real progress as people and as a collective. So when you are in therapy, it's all cognitive, it's analytical, it's error. And it can spiral. It doesn't get anchored. Okay, so tarot cards are grounding because it's a tangible thing. Plus, it gives you oxytocin. So when you're talking, it kind of brews fear, right? Because it's untethered. And so fear that is untethered creates anxiety and creates panic. Literally, this is how it works. And then you're spiraling in the future and you can't be present. So the cards make you present and then brew oxytocin because you're looking at beautiful images, which allows you to come from a cozy, comfortable, safe, supported, loving space rather than the fear and the anxiety and the judgment and the perfectionism space. Because if you've known, you go to a therapist, you got to really trust that person, and still you're always thinking, what do they think about this? Are they judging this? Of course they're judging this. They're a person. You hear things, you judge it, right? So we have to evolve ourselves and grow in self-responsibility, emotional maturity, but we have to do it compassionately. So the cards, I think, is so beautiful because it ignites oxytocin. So already you just feel a little more comfy and it's a little more accessible. But it is actually scientific and hormonal at the same time. But my thought in regards to James's video is that this full moon is a Leo is the inner child and your joy and your heart-centered self. And we actually do have a culture and certain generations that were never breastfed. We don't have the original template for safety. I mean, that's really what oxytocin is. It's cozy, it's safe, it's mama hormones, it's bonding, right? You hear that, but it's your sense of safety in the world. So in tune to your astrology, that's the fourth house. How do I feel safe in this world? So if you have, from a scientific, like molecular, hormonal level, generations of people who've never been breastfed, they don't have that initiation of cozy, safe joy. Because to me, that's what oxytocin boils down to. It just feels, yay, everything's safe, you know? And so we're having to rebuild this sense of safety, and that's through self-care, self-love, and surrender to spirit and connection to the divine. But there's some that was a huge aha to me, because I have struggled with panic and anxiety and depression and panic attacks and this sense of huge self-judgment and perfectionism. And when things are successful, I still see them as a failure because they're not successful up here yet. And having that realization of well, if oxytocin is the baseline of joy and comfort and safety and love, and I didn't have that initial, I'm personally running at a deficit. And then you look at a collective, we're all running at a deficit of what is joy. Then we head at it from external points of buying, right? To get adrenaline rushes or endorphin rushes from hyper-aggressive movement patterns. So I know this is pretty far down the rabbit hole, but I know somebody's going to register this out there somewhere, that it's okay, right? If you listened to the full moon tarot reading on the site, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. We are all feeling the ass kicking of this moon because it's dredging things up. It's going to bring up fear and anxiety, because what if we're not courageous enough to step into our true joy and our heart-centered self? And what if we're not willing to be cozy and loved and safe in the world? We have to step into that. But in knowledge and accepting that as a culture, we haven't templated that. So our cellular memory, our baseline cellular memory doesn't know what that feels like. So we have to teach it. And teaching it through the tarot is this beautiful way in, because it gives you support. It allows you to feel joy and love and get comfortable and then go, oh, well, making mistakes and not knowing these things and learning from my lessons is a part of life. It's not judgment. It's not self-deprecating. It's not criticism. It's not you're bad and you're wrong. We have a culture of perfectionism because we're matching things that, media, which is why I try to be really honest with you all of dude, I hid under my covers yesterday. It was a self-care day. There's just a lot of things. So there's reasons for it, but we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And if you are watching this video, like, please anchor into the tactics. The point of me teaching is, like, I feel like just do the basics. Get on the mat, listen to the cards, allow the self-love to evolve. It's not an overnight thing. It's not a quick fix, but you will get these little bursts of joy. And like, tarot can bring a lot of joy. And then it's also patterned about looking at images. So that was pretty cool, right? Okay, so there's your tangent for Tangent Tuesday for certain. Oh, good, Angela. Yeah, I mean, this is really for somebody, but there's also this common thread of Leo, okay? Because the full moon that happened yesterday is in Leo, right? So here's where I want to start to, we'll make the transition, and I'm looking at my notes. Okay. So, follow down the rabbit hole here. Full moon in Leo with a total lunar eclipse. Supermoon. So a supermoon means that the moon is closest to the Earth that it'll ever get. I mean, it happens a couple times a year, so, you know, but it appears 13% larger in the sky. So like, all of you posting your pictures and like comment, I mean, she's gorgeous this week, like giant. Like, you just look at it and you're like, oh, there's magic there, right? So then you have the eclipse of itself, you know, is powerful. It sets a pattern for 6 months, and that just amplifies the energy of things, okay? And this full moon, lunar eclipse, I'm going slowly so I don't say the wrong thing, closes a cycle for the last 18 months, but really 2 years. This is what I want you all to hear. Because last year's eclipse season, everything happened in Leo and Aquarius, okay? So this full moon closes that cycle of eclipses. So the 4 questions that I have for you today are about making the most of the energy of this full moon, because it's an ass kicker, right? Because it's not that like the bigger the ass kicking, the less you've been acknowledging the work, but maybe so. And it's also, the universe whispers, then it talks, then it yells, and it starts throwing motherfucking dishes at your forehead so that you'll pay attention. So the louder the ass kicking, like accidents, just disruptive emotional things that you're like, where did that come from? This is the universe going, you need to look at this. This is your learning point for this moon. This right here. Not to freak you out, to go, hello, these are the signs to better. This is the road to Wellsville. This is how we evolve for the better. Okay, I'm just looking at comments, and if you guys, yeah. So this full moon, the eclipse season last year was about Leo and Aquarius. Us going towards, so North Node and South Node, going towards our heart-centered self, our soul-centered self, our heart-centered loves. And from an astrological point of perspective, I would argue to your rising sign, because your rising sign is your soul persona, okay? And most of us don't know that, which is why I do the simple stars chart, because that's an unlocking piece for your whole life, to understand how your soul's really templated. So all of last year in the eclipse season, but there's a 2-year marker for like transition into it. So it asked us last year to go towards our heart-centered self, to be brave, to be weird, to go like, I don't know how it's going to make me money, but I know I love it, to do the things that you love. Because Leo doesn't do anything they don't love. They're fucking assholes if you try to get them to. Okay, but because they follow their heart-centered self, that's for the greater good and the collective consciousness. It's generating love in the world because they're in joyful stewardship of it in the work process. And it asks us to leave. I mean, this is fascinating. Aquarius, which is solving for the greater good of all involved. But solving for the greater good of all involved can be the martyr mama syndrome. I am solving for everybody. I got everybody's lunches packed and everybody's extra shoes and the sunglasses that they left and the water bottle that they trailed behind. I found it, like doing everything for everybody and ignoring yourself. So last year, because of these eclipses, was about being self-centric or self-centered. And I know a lot of you don't like that term. You got to get over it. This is the perfectionist judgment. Well, that means I'm a terrible person. No, it doesn't. It means you understand your soul's purpose, which is understanding yourself first, honoring your divine incarnation first, and allowing that to unravel so that you can be of service to other people. This is the point of self-care. Okay, this is not about indulging yourself. Like I went through yesterday. Everybody was home yesterday and I kind of disappeared because I was of no use to anybody yesterday. And I needed meditation and card and a long bath to get my head straight. And then I was totally present. So this full moon ends a 18-month, 2-year cycle. Okay, that's fact. So it's bringing up things that are still dragging us down from being our highest and greatest good. Okay, so remember that full moons are looking for release. If you're not actively going to release things and the universe is like, you guys, I'm telling you, you got to go this way, it's going to try to release something for you. And that's not always pleasant. That's the tarot card. That's shit breaks apart. Relationships fall apart. Jobs, you get fired from a job. Like this is accidents. These are health issues that have just reached a point where you can't ignore it anymore. Okay. So I feel like I need a breath and some water. Comments, questions, write them now. Remember that Instagram will kick off before YouTube, and I will stay a little bit longer on YouTube, and I'm going to share my unicorn cup. So how's that resonating with you guys with this full moon? Does that make sense? Does that follow enough of a linear process? That this full moon is trying to close a cycle. It is asking us, and will be really loud about what needs to be looked at for the lesson in order to get you to your highest and greatest good, because this moon is big. So this kind of eclipse won't happen again until 2021. Like, just won't. So this is big. Okay, so now let's go to the questions then that I have for you. So the 4 questions that will help you make the most of this full moon eclipse. If you don't go listen to the tarot reading, if you're not going to anchor into your own tarot reading or book one with me, then sit with these 4 questions very seriously this week. So full moons are asking for release. That's what they want. They also shine a light somewhere. This moon, I feel like, is shining a big old spotlight on shit that don't work. So usually it shines it on like where the energy is, where you're supposed to be going, what's working, right? But this one is like shining the big old spotlight on the shit that's broke that you're like, stop hanging on to it, okay? So it's also asking you, by dropping the things and releasing the things that no longer serve your highest and greatest good, that allows you to step into your highest and greatest good. It's like cutting the anchor off, right? And so 2018 was a shit show of energy lessons and opportunities and challenges to learn, right? And we all felt like there were 2 anvils like connected to our feet as we're trying to swim to the top of the ocean. So this full moon has the potential and the opportunity to cut whatever anvil's left if you're willing to release it. If we cling to what we know, yeah. So death and the Tower card, you might as well put them in the same damn card. You have to let things end. You have to let go of something. So the universe hates a vacuum. But in order to manifest something new, you have to let go of things. It can be as simple as cleaning your house and getting rid of objects. This is what feng shui is all about. It is minimalism so that energy can flow through your space. I'm not even going to talk about Marie Kondo today. But energetically, so we typically look at it energetically. What no longer serves my highest and greatest good? So the 4 questions, because that's in there. Number 1. What have you learned this week? Okay, now take that in relative terms. Today is Tuesday, so from last Tuesday to today, what have you learned? This is number 1. Super simple, okay? Because hi mama, there's always lessons and blessings and things, right? So we're constantly learning. And I did these questions with my kids last night. Unbelievable, and it's like, my hope is that we template these questions so they're constantly going back to these things as problem solving and as soothing, self-soothing, like how can we make things go smoother? So what have you learned in the last week? This can be super pedantic and like lame, like functionally, what did you learn? You know what I learned? I learned how to play poker. Super silly, but new, right? Brainwaves changing. That's a thing unto itself. With my kids, but it made them really happy to teach me. And like we played a game as a family when it's, -9 degrees outside and we're not going outside. but interpersonally as well. So start with the practical, because the emotional pieces aren't always as easy to identify. But you can always shape it like this. What do you know now today when you're journaling that you didn't know 7 days ago? That's all. What is it? Okay. So start with, what have you learned this week? Question 2, to make the most of this full moon. In the last 2 years, what have you learned? Now, again, simplify it. What do you know now that you did not know 2 years ago? Because this full moon closes a cycle. Okay? So what is it that you have learned? And sometimes learning becomes too analytical and cerebral. What do you know now that you didn't know then? What are you comfortable with now that you weren't comfortable with then? What were you struggling with 2 years ago that you're not struggling with anymore? Again, these could be really simple. They could be really deep. So allow them to be either of those things, but do challenge yourself that if you come up with simple answers, maybe try to go deeper, okay? You guys could use these cards as a tarot layout too. Just let me know that. Okay, 3. I'm trying to look because my writing is like scribble scrabble. See, these were butterflies I were catching. I actually caught them for you today. Okay. Okay, 3 and 4 could be answered in either order, right? What is your heart's desire? Because Leo is about the heart, okay? So it has to be, what do you love? What do you want? Stop judging it. I've been going rounds with this one myself, okay? So what does your heart desire at its core? Asking my kids this was fascinating. And if you have kids, you might try. They're 7 and 11, but we've been doing stuff like this, for about 2 years when they can, participate. But actually, when they're younger, it's like asking the oracle. You get some magic answers because they come straight from the ethers. So what is your heart's desire? Have you this is question 3, but it really, spirals into a couple of additional like A and B, 3A and 3B. So what is your heart's desire? Big picture. What do you want for your lifetime? And don't overthink it. What is the first thing that pops into your head or into your heart when I said that? Don't do anything else, okay? So this is about kicking into your intuition too, not analyzing it, letting your brain get involved. Have you taken steps to do that in the last 2 years? So whatever your heart's desire is, have you taken active steps towards that? If you haven't taken active steps towards your heart's desire in the last 2 years, are you honoring that? Okay. Okay. Then, last question. So 4, what drags you down and holds you back? What will you release today? Okay, so this is the classic full moon question. What no longer serves your highest and greatest good? People, places, relationships, jobs, careers, locations, habits. But I want you to hear it in a different way, because for my unicorns who have done this pretty consistently with me, like, what drags you down and holds you back? What will you release today? Because this moon is asking for release. Every full moon does. This one is asking for it bigger and better, because the Leo Aquarius cycle that we are now closing is the key to our collective ascension. Meaning, if we are to move forward to our highest and greatest good as a collective, it begins with us, because it's the only thing we can control. And I don't mean control. It's the only thing we can really do. This is it, right? So what will you release in honor of that? So Leos in imbalance get pegged as egotistical. And I do think, I know from working with you privately, that a lot of you find your greatest heart's desire to be very egotistical. I have dealt with this myself. Meanwhile, you're insulting your own soul and you're blocking your own greatness and your growth and your gift to the highest and greatest good for the greater of the collective. So you need to know what really holds you back. So again, they're not simple. Well, they are simple, but perhaps not easy questions, right? And so this moon and the energy of it, and those of you who are present, I know you magic because you're here. Your soul is calling, right? So for those who are more sensitive, who are more gifted and more connected psychically, or just further ahead on the path, right? This moon is gonna, it's not pulling any punches. Let's put it that way. Okay. So again, it's looking for release. If you won't actively let go of something. So I'm telling you, like me being brave and getting ready to the sessions, because I don't want something bad to happen. Like something has to be released, right? I have to actively release something. So you have to actively release something with intention. And then you go, okay, well, if I recognize it and I finally name it and claim what needs to be released, how do I do that? Sometimes just knowing what it is enough. It's that aha of like, oh, why didn't I see that? Mine, unbelievably kind of lame. It's like the same thing over and over again, but a different variation. I'm like, okay, it's not complicated with me. It's really the same source of all the wounding that's continually getting better, but I have to actively release this portion of it now in order to move forward. So it's, simply writing it down, simply saying it out loud. Any of the techniques in Moon Mama, is it lesson 3 for your full moon release? It's all in there. You can do repetitive writing to release. You can write it out and burn it up in a fire safe place. You can simply state it. Like, do not underestimate the power of a spell out of your mouth with intention. I release this here and now. It no longer serves the highest and greatest good of my soul unfoldment or the greater collective. I release it. You take it. Go. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not playing this game. So I like, when I finally recognize what needs to be released with the full moon, I like to rewrite it also and burn it up and then look at it daily for those 2 weeks and maybe rewrite it in my journal as often as I can in those 2 weeks so that I don't forget what I'm releasing. I'm not acting from that place anymore. I'm not doing that anymore, right? So then it's practice. So if it's an emotional thing that you have to release, then you're going to have to practice being different. And practicing being different is really uncomfortable. So, sharing personal stories around here, my oldest kid had a total full-on panic attack last night. It was terrifying. And I could see it because I've had them. And, it's like this moon is looking for release and he's still young, but super sensitive and doesn't really, and we talk all the time, right? But he's not super great at communicating fear. Instead of communicating worry and fear, he just goes, I'm going to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to handle it. I'm going to work through it. So physical manifestations are because we're not dealing with the emotional piece. They've reached such a peak that they've actually become physical. I also looked at it as a blessing because it was a release, right? It's out. Whole house got to deal with it now. Mommy and daddy got to figure out how to make things a little bit easier and more constructive and more supportive. And we got to be there for it. So it's a blessing. Meanwhile, terrifying and messy at the same time. So the moon and this energy and the ass kicking of it, we have to get into the self-responsibility and the thank you of it, which just sounds like bullshit, I know. But you guys, I go through what I teach because if you laundry listed out the experiences and the traumas in my life, they are unlike few people in the world. And that's not because it's like, oh, I'm so great. No, I mean, people have been through worse, believe me. But I am not a stranger to extreme trauma and fear. So if we can embrace the lesson in it, it becomes a gift. And then we can thank the experience and the energy at play as it's not always because we missed things before either. Sometimes the universe just chooses to teach us that way in one fell swoop. So my understanding and the channeling that comes through in my experiences is that the bigger the traumas, right, the more capacity to heal. And the bigger the traumas and your capacity to heal, then makes you a more gifted teacher in the long run to help others. So it does put you in service to heal yourself. And you can't be of use to anybody else until you've dealt with yourself. Be clear, we're all dealing with ourselves every day. And I'm not over here running my mouth or teaching because I feel like I got it all figured out. I don't. I'm up ahead in the path with a flashlight. That's all. So I genuinely want to help you do things in a smoother way, for you to feel supported and loved in the process, to give yourself permission to do it any messy which way you want to, and to just ditch the guilt and the criticism of how or when it's happening, and just accept it when you have the aha. Because that's typically the block. We get an aha moment and we go, oh, but then in this culture, we then take it on as, why didn't I see that before? Why didn't I do that before? I must be a terrible person because I missed it and I didn't do it before. And now I'm this age and doing it. Oh my God, stop. That's the mystery of life. Who knows what age we're supposed to do things at? Everything's happening as it should, in its perfect time, in divine timing, not our human brain timing. And often teachers teach what they need to learn. I have become infinitely more patient and understanding in the last 2 years in particular. But in the last 12, there is also a 12-year cycle closing, and I won't go into that. David Palmer, the Leo King, he does, I can't even remember which video, but he did mention it in the last 2 weeks, I think, of this major cycle closing. And if I look at the last 12 years, that year was epic, and I don't use that term lightly. So this is big energy. It offers us a beautiful opportunity of healing and stepping into the blessings of 2019, the to-dos of 2019, and allows us to really heal and be better for it. But us being better individually makes the collective better. I'm going to sign off and say goodbye because Instagram is doing the countdown. If you all want to stay on YouTube or hop over to YouTube, I will stay and do a couple of single card readings, but I have to go grab my deck. I thought I walked it over here, okay? I love you very much. And if you have questions, send them over, okay? So Instagram's timed out. You guys who are on, let me hit that one real fast, on YouTube. While I go, thanks, Shauna. I'm gonna go grab a deck, a tarot deck. While I'm gone, shouldn't be very long. If you have questions to ask on YouTube, ask them. The question has to be phrased in a way that can be answered yes or no. And I'll probably do 5 of them depending on, and it looks like there's 5 of you in the room right now, so everybody could have a question. You have to type them in, but make sure it's phrased in a way that can be answered yes or no, and then I'll bring other information through if it comes through in a channeled way. So anybody who's here in the room, type it up. I have to walk away. I'm sorry for that. And then grab a deck and I'll be right back. Okay? So type up your questions while I'm walking. And the deck was not very far. See, you made it to the table. I told you guys I was a little ungrounded today. I wasn't lying. Okay, what do we got here? There's a delay in the comments. I know that for a fact. I'm not touching any of the buttons because I've seen it scroll today. And last time I did that, I ended up cursing in your video and it zapped away. So, okay. If you have a question, ask now. There's 6 of you in the room. I'm happy to do 6 questions and we kind of go lightning rounds. If you all want a personal reading that goes into deeper detail, you can book it at tandygutierrez.com. Okay, what we got here? Charlotte, I love that yours comes up with a batch of flowers. How does that work? In the your little oh my God, avatar, I guess. It's flowers and it's so cute. Okay, Charlotte, should you look for a house in the Lake District? That's a yes. Father of Pentacles. So that's an earth sign, that's grounded, that's homey, that's expansion. Father of Pentacles is essentially the king of pentacles. This is a good investment. This is a prosperous investment. That's a yes. Hello, I like that card already. And simple and straightforward. Okay, Sue, should I continue face painting this year and spend the money for a new kit? Okay, let's do one question. Should you continue face painting this year? Because then that will tell you if you need to spend money on a new kit. So Sue, should you continue face painting this year? Okay, this is 7. Okay, this is a 7 of Wands. And I look at it and I go, huh. And sometimes this happens, you guys know, where it's like a maybe kind of card. So 7 of Wands is a very constructive card, but it's the self-help number. Wands are about bravery and courageousness. This calls you to do something different, something new that you can be a leader at, but you're going to feel a little bit alone in it to begin with. So the answer is really no, because you need to be doing something new. I don't know what the new is, but this is about being brave and courageous and doing something that you're not masterful at yet, but that you have a genuine gift at. And so if you move on to this, then you will have a following eventually for it. 7 is the self-help number, so it's not lucky number 7. Luck comes when preparation meets timing, and I'm hearing that it's time to prepare and practice. So it's a no on the continue face paint. Okay. Shauna. Oh man. Okay. I like it because you and I got a relationship. Your cards come flying out. Will I meet my production goal of 500 for the month of February? 10 of Pentacles. That's a yes, because it's Pentacles, earthly abundance, finances. 10 is fresh starts and new beginnings. Like, yeah. How beautiful. Yep. That's a yes. Oh, those are the flowers you paint, Charlotte. So cute, like so pretty. Okay, Angela, is this the time for me to release? I'm not even pulling a card for that. That's a yes. I'm going to pull a card for you, I promise. Is this the time for me to release the fear and anxiety? Angela, I love you. I don't need a card for that. I can't make this stuff up. Okay, Angela, so that's a yes, because it's time for it to die. It's a death. You know too much. Once you become a unicorn, you kind of know too much. Like, you know the secrets, you know the truth, and you know that, like, fear and anxiety ain't got no home in a unicorn. And it's still a process, but it's dying. And this is also the card of winter. So just know that there's going to be some of this fear and anxiety continue to come up, but that if you do the work and you anchor into the practices, seriously, get on the mat, drink your water, do your meditation, anchor into the cards. When you feel fear and anxiety, like, go towards it. And I know that's a terrible thing of, like, I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid I'll fail. Go running at it. Like, that's the thing. That's what you got to do. And you know what, Angela, you know, hold hands. Like, I got a list this year and I've been sitting on it for a long time. And I'm like, no, we don't have anything to lose. Nothing. So, and we have a community here that loves us regardless. So let's go be brave. Let's do it together. But yes, it's time for you to release the fear and anxiety. This is the death of it. So know that this is the winter card, that spring will really show the reward and really the feeling of the release. Right now, you're still doing the work. Okay. Jennifer. Okay. Jennifer Bates. Will it be safe to travel next week? Okay. All the hearts and smiley faces, Angela. Like, really, we will energetically hold hands in the astral plane as we go. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, Jennifer, will it be safe to travel next week? It's a really good question. That's a yes. Okay, so this is the Justice card. This is also a major arcana card, and I didn't say it, I usually try to. The major arcana cards have to do with our soul evolution and our karma, and burning karma and finding balance. Justice is a big one of stepping into. Okay, why are you traveling? Is it for work? Because this is like, you're asking, is it safe? But I think you're worried about what's on the other end. It's almost like you have a presentation or something that's kind of big and it's like you're a little scared about it. I don't know. But justice is good. This is stepping into your new self. This is stepping into clean karma. This is stepping into balance, and like the burned up stuff. Like, this moon just is like big. It's burning up some stuff and letting go of some things if we'll surrender to it. So yes, it's safe to travel. Absolutely. But I also get to, I don't know how. Have some black kyanite to carry with you. There's a protective piece of that you need with you, and I always wear it and carry it in my pockets when I travel. Highly sensitive people traveling can just feel like, because you're pulling in everybody's stuff every place you go, and those spaces are never saged. Okay, so travel with some black kyanite, and I think that will ease some of it. But I have this feeling that whatever you're traveling for is important for your soul evolvement and leveling karma, that you're being given an opportunity somehow to step into a higher self. into a bigger self. So that could be emotionally, it could be work-wise, I don't know. Okay? Okay. I think that was everybody in the room. It's 11:10. We can take those last few minutes and hang out till 11:11 if you like. If anybody's got questions about the lessons or the tangent today or comments about the tangent, please, once I get this video posted, I don't know what it looks like on your end when it's live. Like it. I know this is like the ever like, oh my God, I have to like, share, and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. It is the livelihood of us. It's just the way of the world. So it's never like, I don't want you to share because you don't love it. But if this is useful information, if this helps your growth and your soul evolvement, like please share these videos. I am intending still to get some other content on this channel for you this year. I knew I wasn't really going to get to it in January. Let me know what you all would like to see here on this channel. I'm considering doing a weekly tarot because we handle the monthly and the full and the new on the site. But I do feel like once a week, it might be nice for you all to have a weekly reading. And that will, some of the stuff may not come till March when there's time, but I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. If you're interested in membership and you're not a member yet and you're watching this after the fact, just head down to the description. There are always codes there for 30 days free membership at UnicornWellness.Studio. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, a personal reading, TandyGutierrez.com, link is below. And please come back to join us for Tangent Tuesday. You don't have to be a member to be here. We just welcome all the open hearts and the seekers and the light workers and the unicorns that are out there. And check the comments one more time. Oh, good. Oh, yes, Charlotte. I feel the same way. Okay, just as a tag note, I think Thursday I'm going to do lesson 4 live because that's what works in my schedule right now. If you all want to join me on Thursday, I will post the time in the private Facebook group. And if you're watching this video and you're like, I'm not in the private Facebook group, I'm not a member yet, but you want to join me for that live lesson, just drop a comment below and I'll come and post and answer as you guys ask, okay? I love you very much and I will see you later. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so today, okay? Bye!